So the Federal Reserve decision has the markets absolutely exuberant. You have realtors and brokers across the country that are just exclaiming, hurrah, like our moment to shine has come. We're going to have so much more activity in this. This is a really healthy economy and so on and so forth. And I'm just not buying it. And it's not based upon the stats that I see. It's based upon what I'm actually seeing on the ground floor in our markets and also all the other investors, developers, and brokers that I talk to across the country. And so in this video, I'm going to give you my insights on why this half point rate reduction by the Federal Reserve Open Markets Committee is not good news. It actually spells very bad news, in my opinion, and I'm going to describe to you why. All right. So first, I'm going to go off on the actual stats themselves. But before I do that, I think that it's important to kind of categorize what the reactions could have been at this meeting or the decisions of this meeting, right? I think it would have been actually better if the Fed cut the rates by a quarter point. And here's why. Cutting by a quarter point, to me, would signal that to the Fed, the fundamentals of the economy, especially as it pertains to household incomes and employment, is still very healthy and is trending in a direction to remain healthy for the near term, right? But they didn't cut it by a quarter point. They cut it by a half a point, which I think to me is in balancing the Fed's dual mandate between managing and moderating unemployment rates to keep it below 5% unemployment rates and also keeping inflation target around 2% or lower, I think that they're leaning more on their concerns with unemployment. But obviously they can't go out there and say, hey, we have like serious concerns about the way that unemployment is trending. And one thing that I have to say also, because I'm going to quote some anecdotal stuff here as well as some stats. So one thing that I think is remarkable is that unemployment has ticked up quite considerably from 3.8% to 4.2% over the past year. And what I'm concerned about is that, yes, it's below the 5% target, but I really think that we're not adjusting for wage growth adjusted for inflation. Okay, so over the past 5 years, we've had a median household income drop by 7.2% when adjusted for inflation. All right. So that's fine, right? Because, we've had high inflation, incomes haven't kept up with it. This is old news, Matt. Why does this even matter to you? So my major concern right now is I'm seeing a lot of movement within the job markets. And I talk to investors several times a week across the country. And when I do, I'm seeing that I'm hearing this constant story of people that have, earning six-figure jobs, right? $150,000, $250,000. They got laid off recently this year and they got a job quickly, which is a good thing, but at a substantial pay cut, right? So I'm talking to people and they're getting their pay cut by 25 to 50%. I was on a call earlier this week from somebody who was making $190,000. They got laid off. And they got rehired by a different company, and now they're making $100,000 for the same job. That type of stuff isn't going to be tracked in the statistics, and it's going to take a long time for those things to flesh out in terms of how it boils down to median household incomes, for instance. So on the subject of the housing market, and this is a channel about commercial real estate and commercial real estate income property and so on and so forth. The reason why I want to talk about the housing market is because this is really like the cornerstone of consumer sentiment and where consumer sentiment forms. And what I'm hearing from my colleagues and what I'm seeing in the actual marketplace is that the housing market, like for owner occupants, has just gotten plain weird, right? You're getting a lot of activity in terms of competitive multiple offer situations on a very small handful of properties, and then nothing on other properties that are just sitting on the market. And the days on market across the country is creeping up. We have home sales down to their lowest point in 11 years since 2010. And I think the reason for that is actually changing. And it's not so much about high interest rate, high cost of ownership as a reason and low inventory. I think it's actually changing from the standpoint of household incomes and also household confidence. We're seeing a lot less people actually looking for houses out there. And this really trickles up into the how it blows through business confidence and also investor confidence when you have a change in sentiment towards consumer behavior and also confidence, right? The other thing that I've been noticing as well, and this is totally anecdotal, is I'm talking to people a lot that make several six figures, right? $100,000 to $200,000 a year, and they have no savings. Okay, no savings whatsoever. And the rampant cost of living increase across the country has decimated savings rates to the point of non-existence, right? In fact, the national savings rate has dropped from 4.4% of income in July 2023 to just 2.9% of income as of July 2024. All right. The reason where this is thing is that once we start to go into a recession and people actually have to file for unemployment does not pay the same rate as what employment pays. So we're going to have to actually probably see the savings rate decrease into negative territory, and people are going to have to start dipping into the few savings they have, or even credit cards or consumer loans in order to float that. And we've actually been seeing that already over the past year. The average credit card balances are up almost 7% from the past year, and a 3.6% increase in new credit cards issued over the past year, right? So when credit cards gets issued, their balance doesn't start creeping up right away, right? So what we're seeing out there is a lot of applications by consumers for credit cards to actually keep themselves going, right? So when they lose their job and start, collecting unemployment, it's going to be very hard to keep up with all of the expenses at their inflated level. We're not going to see a decrease in a rapid decline in pricing across the board, unless we have like a very, very severe deflationary black swan issue like COVID happen again, or the great financial crisis. So what's going to happen is I really think that the consumer household income is actually going to drop, right? So the point of my matter here is that my ending conclusions and recommendations are this, okay? Get prepared for significant shocks to the U.S. economy. This is going to create real opportunities for real estate investors to pick up deals at very attractive valuations, all right? So be prepared, all right? Now, should I say don't go out there and look at any properties right now and just hide in the cave someplace? No, all right? Keep going out there, looking at properties, right? Because there's a lot of investors that aren't looking at any properties right now because nothing is making any sense. They're just like, okay, we're going to have a recession. We're just sit on the sidelines. You should be going out there looking at properties, making offers that make sense on desirable real estate that you want to own, right? Knowing full well that those offers may go nowhere. If you get a property that's under contract, a significant discount to what their listing price is and numbers make sense, that's fine, right? This is a long-term game, all right? If you do that, make sure that if you're putting together a deal that you have significant runway on your financing, right? So we've learned the whole thing with bridge loans. Don't get a hard money loan for a year to 2 years where you're banking on a refinance to take that, to pay that money back in there. Don't promise your investment partners they're going to get paid back in 2 years. You want to have at least a runway of 5 years on whatever type of deal that you're doing, so that you can ride through a negative market cycle and have enough runway to do a refinance or a sale on the actual back end. All right. So don't think short term. Think, all right, can I weather the storm here for 5 years or more? And the reason why it's important to stay hyperactive in this market is because I love when there's less competition. You're going to be able to go out there and pull out the opportunities that people are just sleeping on right now. All right. My second recommendation is to hoard cash. If you have properties with equity in them, substantial equity in it, pull it out right now. Do not wait until there's a crash and then refinance your portfolio with the hopes of pulling cash out and using that to fund your real estate deals, right? When the market actually corrects in a significant way, the capital markets all perform in lockstep with that. And once the liquidity gets sucked out of capital markets and banks start pulling back, they have higher loan to value. They have lower loan to value requirements. So they're not going to be doing 75, 80% loan to value. Think that they might have, you might get a max 50 to 60% loan to value in that environment. So you want to have that cash on your balance sheet ready to go, and also have that liquidity position ready to go so that you can maintain your strength as a personal guarantor, right? A lot of your bankers might even talk you out of this. Well, what do you use the cash out proceeds for? You can just wait and we can do a cash out on your current holdings and put that right into a deal that you're looking to do, so you don't have to pay unnecessary interest on that money during that time period. Don't listen to them, right? Get that cash now, hoard it, stick it in your balance sheet, and also talk to investors, talk to people with money, potential investment partners, because What's going to happen is you want to be on the forefront of this and communicating to potential investment partners to say, hey, I'm out there looking at deals. Not everything is making sense. I'm out there making offers, but I really do see the potential for huge opportunities with a recession that I think is an imminent that's going to happen, right? So I want to make sure you're ready to go when we're ready to go, all right? And just constantly communicating that out there and growing your network, because you don't want to have these conversations when you never talk to this person about investing in real estate passively or anything like that, and the sky is falling, right, at that point in time. You want to be in the forefront here, actually talking about the narrative, assuming you believe in this, all right? And I'm not being like, tinfoil hats here and that sort of thing. We're due for a recession. We've been due for a very, very long time. We've had negative interest rate policy since basically 2001, all right? Yes, we've had interest rate increases before the great financial crisis, but essentially since 2001, I mean, we've had a very, very freewheeling, free money market that's just been on steroids since then, right? Because of this free money. There has to be a time where the chickens come home to roost, okay? So just know that you want to build your capital base as much as possible, start building those relationships with those potential investment partners, because on the flip side, with your refinance, if you're looking to refinance your properties in the future, and don't wait until then, do it now when you can still get 75%, 80% loan to value on an LTV and a refi to pull out as much cash as possible. That's going to change going forward. So you're probably gonna have to raise more capital for your deals you're gonna be buying when the market starts to change, right? So you're going to have to talk to a lot of people and raise a lot of equity when you're taking these deals down. And this is going to spell amazing opportunities for you to pick up properties at a very, very attractive valuation that are going to be a game changer for you. So anyways, I know this was a quick rant, but I really want to hear what your comments are below. Am I crazy? Am I thinking about this in the wrong way? Are we due for a pretty steep recession? Or do you really think that we're going to have a soft landing as the Federal Reserve is actually trying to engineer? Let me know. Take care. Cheers.